In this video episode, we are going to talk about routing and views in Laravel application. In Laravel, views contain HTML of the page. Views are written using the Blade templating engine. Views help in separating the application logic from presentation logic. An example of a view is what we are able to find in our application that we installed inside resources, views. We have this file called welcome.blade.php. And this file is the one that has this nice page. And so we can open it and take a look. As you can see, it's basically HTML. And what I want us to do is just to remove the whole of it and just simplify things. In your Laravel application, in your VS Code, it is good for you to have an extension that is called HTML. So you can come to extensions and search HTML, and you can be able to install HTML CSS support IntelliSense, or you can also be able to install any HTML boilerplate or something of that sort. And that is what will help me, because as you can see, this is what I have installed. And when I come to my application and just type in HTML5 and select this one, already we have some information here. So I want the title of this page to be welcome. And I also want inside the body, we have H1, and I want us to call it welcome page. If I am to save and go back and refresh our application, now you can see we have welcome page. So basically the building block of a Laravel Blade file is just basic HTML. And as you can see, the name of our file is welcome, and then it has .blade.php. And this means we are using the Laravel's Blade templating engine. We can have other views created for us. And for us to create more views, we can be able to just come to our terminal and maybe open another terminal. And we can run the command php artisan make view, and then the name of our view. So the first one is welcome, and I think we can have like 3 other views. So we can say the next view is called services. We will hit enter. And as you can see, a view will be added here. I want us to create one more, php artisan make view, and let us call it about. And you can see it is created. One more, we can just press the up arrow inside our VS Code, and it will bring the command that we wrote previously. We can create another view, which I'm going to call contact. And as you can see also, that view is created. So basically here we can go ahead and put in some HTML also. And we can have H1 here and call it contact. And then we can go to the next one, which is the about page, and do the same, HTML5, and then H1, and inside here we can say about page, and then go to, so we have about, we save, we have contact, we have had the HTML, and we have the last one, which we are going to call services. Again, once we have the HTML, we can be able to just pass in a H1 tag here, a title tag, and we say this one is for services page. And so probably that gives you a hang of how we can be able to create views in Laravel application. I want us to try and create a view that is inside another folder, so we can be able to say php artisan make view, and then we have a previous folder and then another one. So maybe we can say the folder is maybe admin, like that, and then we can say /index. If we hit enter, now you can see we have a directory called admin, and inside it we have index.blade.php. So basically that is how you can create a nested folder, nested folders, and the nested folders having their own files. So you can even go 3 levels depending with the design of whatever it is that you're doing. Now that we have had a hang of how to create a view, how are these views rendered? I want us to look at that briefly. And I want us to go to a folder which we looked at in our previous video episode, a folder called routes. Inside routes, we have a file called web.php. And inside here, you can see that we have above here, we are importing the routes facade. And basically in Laravel, a facade, I can say in simple terms, as a way in which we can interact with Laravel's inbuilt classes. There are classes that have been created to make our development process easy. And we have a facade that we call the route facade, which helps us to do routing easily. And so now we have route, and then we have get. This one is a HTTP verb. You can have get verb, you can have post, you can have put, you can have patch. Depending with your use case, you can have delete if it's a route that you're using to delete. And then you can also have any verb here, and then you can also have among others. And then of course the route that we are moving to is just a route that is the default one. That's why we're just having a / and a function, which inside it we are returning a view welcome. There is a different way in which we can be able to do this, and I just want us to talk about it. And what you can be able to do conversely, instead of having it like that, you can also just say route view, and then inside here you can say we are visiting that route, and then the file that we are loading is called welcome.blade.php. But as you can see, we're just writing welcome, so you don't need to write welcome.blade.php here. Just welcome like that. And if we are to refresh, we have a problem. So we're supposed to have double colon. So again, if I'm to refresh and check, now you can see we are still loading our page. So these are the 2 ways in which you can be able to do it. But if you use this method, then it means you're not passing any parameters to your route. You're just loading the route, and that is it. But I would like us to go back to the initial one that we have and have it like that. I want us in a similar way to load the other routes that we have. So I'm going to copy this and then paste here. Then we can have about, and then here the route that we are visiting is about, the one that we have just created right now. And so again, if we visit localhost 8000 about, if we hit enter, now we have the about page. So as simple as that. And I can be able to do that for the rest of the pages. So I'll just copy this and paste it down here. And we can have services. And then here also the file is services.blade.php. And then we have the last one, which we called contact. And we can also have the view, I think we have called it contact.blade.php. So basically that is that. So if I visit about, we have it like that. If I change this to services, again, we have gone to services. If I change it to contact, it's giving us nothing. So contact, yes, because there is a possibility that inside our blade file, there is nothing that we have in there. So let me go to resources, views, and check the contact view, contact.blade. It has HTML, but we did not save. So that is the reason why we are having a blank page. But if I'm to refresh again, now you can have contact. So I believe you have a hang of what it is that routing is all about. I'd just like to add a little bit of more information. Sometimes when you are doing routing, you may be able to use the controller method. And when we were talking about Laravel, we said it is the MVC pattern, views, models, and controllers. And already we have talked about views. We have not talked about controllers. But for us to be able to do routing using the controllers, I will look at it in a separate video when we will be talking about controllers. But for now, I'm not going to emphasize so much on that, because it will mean I will have to introduce controllers into this discussion, which will not be very efficient in terms of the plan that I have regarding what we want. Sometimes you may want to pass a value to a view. So for example, you have this first view here that we are calling welcome, and we want to pass a value and say something to that view. So what we can be able to do, we can come to the place where we are returning the view. We can have a comma here and just pass in something. We can say an array of values in key value pairs. So we can say, for example, greeting, and we can have that this application, you say, hello, William. Now, if we go to our welcome.blade.php, we can be able to pass in our greeting by just using the double curly braces, and we can say greeting. If we are to refresh and go back to our home page, now you can see we have the welcome page and we have a greeting below here, and the greeting is saying hello, William. So basically that is how you can be able to pass values from the routing file to the view. But it is still the same way in which you can be able to pass value from the controller method again to the view if the view is being loaded from the controller method. I would like to just go ahead and talk about some other few things. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the grouping of routes. And routes can be grouped for several reasons. For example, to affect them using a specific middleware, sort of patronizing several routes using a specific middleware. And middlewares, we have not talked about it, but I think I did mention something sometime, but don't worry about that. And we can also use the group routes to be able to use a specific controller method. We can also use routes maybe to do a prefix. So the group routes to do a prefix in our Laravel application. And that is what I would like us to just talk about briefly, and then we will continue to other things. Below here, I would like us to create a route group with a prefix. So route, and then we can say prefix. And then inside our prefix, we can pass in our prefix. So in this case, we can say first app. So that will be our prefix. Then we can go ahead and have it as a group function. And inside our group, we can be able to pass in every other of the routes that we have here. So I would like to just copy all of them that we have here. We can cut. And now I want to paste all this route inside here. And now if we go back to our application and try to log it to show the welcome view, it is not showing anything. What it requires of me to do is to, first of all, have first app like that. And that will load the welcome page. If I want to load the contact page, then I will say contact like that. So our first app in this case will be the prefix that we will be putting inside our grouped function. In a similar way, as I have mentioned, you can be able to pass in also in this prefix, you can be able to pass in a middleware. You can be able to have the controller function, among other things that you can do in this case. So basically, that is how you can have routes that are grouped. I want us to remove the grouping to just simplify things. There are other aspects that we will not look at in this episode. For example, what I've talked about previously, using the controller function in routing, and also explicit binding, root model binding, enum binding. Those ones we will look at in subsequent videos because I do not want to make this video overly complicated. But there is one thing that I would like to address. When we look at our views, there is something that we can be able to see. So I open resources, views. And if we look at our views, we're having repetition. When you look at about page, contact, services, and also the welcome page, all of them, they're having the HTML file. So sometimes, in order for us to avoid this repetition, because if you are doing changes to this application, you will be making changes every single place. But that is not ideal, because if you make an error here, you will not know when you come to the services page if the same error is there or not. So you will have a page, or in other words, a website that is not consistent. And to try and do a little bit of consistency, we can come up and have a layouts file here. So we can have a folder that we call layouts. And then inside here, we can have a file, maybe call it app.blade.php. Of course, I know I have talked about generating this. I would like you to try to generate it using a command because it is still inside views, the same way we created the admin file. And what I want us to do is to copy everything that we have in our HTML, and we can be able to copy it and come and paste it here. And what I want us to do is to just remove what we are having inside here, like that, and have it that way. And then inside here, we can say at yield content. I think you just be okay if it is that way. After that, I would like us now to extend this layout up to our other pages. So I would like us to open welcome.blade and delete everything here. And then say at extends. And now we are using whatever it is that I'm typing here is the Blade directives. So extends. And we are saying layouts.app. So we are extending the file that is inside the layouts folder, whatever it is that is in app. And then after doing that, we can say at section content. And then we have at end section, like that. And why am I referring to the content value is because inside here we are yielding content. So what it's going to do, it's going to pick every single time when we extend layouts.app, it is going to pick whatever it is that we have here in our HTML and extend it to the file that we are working with. So if it is the welcome.blade.php, what we need to add here is just now the H1 that we were having, and we can say welcome page. I would like us to refresh and see if it works. As you can see, it works similarly. And then we can do the same for all the other pages that we have. So I want us to go to about and replace everything that we have here by that. And what we are going to change is call this about, and then save it, go to contacts.blade, remove everything here, paste, and change this to contact, and then save. And then lastly, go to services.blade, remove everything, paste whatever it is that we have there, and we call it services. And of course, what I have done, I have removed the group function. So that's why we are accessing the way we were accessing previously. So I can be able to visit services. You can see the page is displaying perfectly, contact. The page is displaying perfectly, and then the other one was about. Again, the page is displaying properly. But as you can see, we are not repeating ourselves. We have picked the repetitive code and we have put it somewhere. This is a slow introduction into the Blade directives, but we have only mentioned a few of them. And of course, I have also shown you how to pass data from the routing file to a view, among other things. I hope this video is helpful, especially specifically for somebody who is an absolute beginner, to be able to see how you can be able to hone your skills and improve yourself, and be able to see how you can be able to work with Laravel. Thank you very much for following this video up until this point. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new to this channel, and if you have a comment, you can shoot in the comment section below. Thank you very much.